just want to say, like, I envy of what you're doing, and like you were able to get sober. And not just like, you're not just surviving anymore, you're living and thriving.
Yeah.
And he's like, how do you do it? Like, because he's struggling.
Sure.
So it's like stuff like that really like takes me back, like buckles me down, and it like gives me a little reminder of like, okay, like, yeah. Yeah, dude. The traffic here blows. It's the worst.
Does it make you miss Texas?
That's the only part. That and the gas prices are what I miss of Texas.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, dude. I was paying like $2.70 for a gallon of premium gas. Now I'm at like $6. It's fucking insane.
We know we take advantage of too is like if you wanted to go to Target or something, we get pissed off when we don't get front row parking. You know what I'm saying? So if it's like the 4th or 5th row behind, you're just like,
yeah.
But in LA, here's Target, but you got to park 4 miles that way.
Yeah.
Or you can just Uber there.
Yeah, exactly. It's the story of my fucking life.
It's just like, I mean, I love LA, don't get me wrong, but it's just, dude, parking places is just annoying.
Yeah.
You got to make a right 4 buildings in before you get to CVS.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that CVS over there? I don't want to park over here. I don't want to go to Trader Joe's. I want to go to CVS. Like, okay, all right, we're good.
I know, and then you got to go up. Wait, we can't make a left there. Wait, we can't make a left into the parking lot because there's a divider. So go up 2 miles.
Yeah.
No U-turn.
Make a U-turn.
Got to make another left. No left turns. Well,
and then you got somebody else trying to do the same dumb shit you're doing. It's like fucking LA.
It's just chaos, dude. It's just chaos.
So why didn't it work out? Because last time we talked, you were working on like a treatment center and stuff in Texas, right?
So I think I was in Connecticut when we last talked.
Yes. You were at your mom's, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I came up with this ridiculous idea to just like buy a ranch down in Texas, because when I left LA, I was still I lived in a sober living for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it got to a point, like, it was almost 3 years, and it got to a point where I was like, dude, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm good financially, I'm good mentally, spiritually, my sobriety's on point. It's time to get the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And but I didn't really have an idea of where I wanted to go. LA kind of seemed like a little far-fetched to me, just because it's so expensive to live here. And and
everything costs money.
Yeah.
That sneeze was like $4.
yeah. And it just like I was torn, because this whole entertainment thing that we have going on, it's here, you know, and I talked to a lot of people, some people that I really look up to, and they're just like, dude, you've gotten to a point where you could be anywhere and do what you want to do. So that was like, oh fuck, you're right, I can, you know. So then, before I made any decision, I was like, I want to just drive around the country for a long time by myself and just like link up with other creators, and that's what I did. I drove around the U.S. for like 3 months, almost every state, and met up with a lot of rad people, made some great content, and then ended up at my mom's house, stayed there for about a month, and I was just like, dude, I want land. I want a piece of land where nobody's gonna fuck with me, nobody's gonna tell me what I can or cannot do. And I had this idea of like, if I build it, they will come. That kind of thing, you know, like build my own compound, because like a month before that, I was at Travis Pastrana's. I'm always going to BAM's, and I'm like, dude, I want to do what they do. I just want to be able to like build a compound and just have all the fun. And so that's how the idea came up. And so I tried it. I went down to Texas and I rented for, I was down there for like 5 months. And shit just really wasn't working out. I was renting while I was looking for a piece of property, and it just didn't work out. I had some of my homies living down there with me, and they weren't really about it. You know, everything like looked good on paper.
Sure.
And then one of them just had like a mental breakdown and ended up leaving while I was working at a treatment center down there at a rehab, and like he just left while I was at work without even saying anything, just like had a mental breakdown. And so I was like, fuck it, dude, like if we're all not doing this, I'm not going to try to do this myself.
Yeah.
I could be in LA and have all these opportunities and just be like, I'll be struggling a little bit financially because it's so fucking expensive, but like I can make it work, you know? And so I was like, fuck it. So I called my landlord. I was like, listen, dude, I got to break the lease. Still no plan, no apartment to move to, no house to move to.
How long was your lease?
It was a year lease.
Oh, okay.
Year lease. He was cool. He just kept my security deposit.
Sure.
And I really still had no idea. And I came back here twice to I filmed with Steve and met up with other homies, and Zach was like, hey dude, we want to do another show, and like
So you're talking about Zackass?
Zackass, yeah. And they had this idea for a prank show. He's like, yeah, we want you to be part of it. So I was like, all right, this is perfect. You know, it looks like I'm coming back. So I packed up all my shit in my U-Haul and came back, and me and Zach got a house in Van Nuys, and we've been waiting. I've been holding off on like finding an actual job because like they kept saying like, oh, we're gonna start next week. Right. Next week. It's like Zach used to tell me there's a Hollywood term. It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So it's like, so we're just waiting and waiting and waiting for this to happen, and months are going by, and I'm like, dude, like I put down all this money for this house. I'm broke. I need to start working. And then finally, just like a couple days ago, we got the contract, and so we start filming very soon on that.
Nice.
And but in the meantime, I was like, I need money, but I don't want to find a real job. So then me and Tom, we came up with this idea of like a little production company and helping people produce podcasts.
Yeah.
It was a very like spur of the moment, random thing. I got hooked up with that water company, BLK.
Oh, okay.
It's like that black water.
Yeah.
And so I was helping her make content, and then she hooked me up with this like famous nutritionist for celebrities, and I'm producing her podcast. And then now I'm going to be producing like some of the BLK podcasts, and now this like skater up in Lemoore wants to do a podcast. So it's like all these projects are coming. Yeah. It's like really very I can make my own schedule. Yeah. It's kind of dope. Yeah.
Well, podcasts are rare too. Not a lot of people do podcasts.
Yeah.
Just playing.
Yeah. What you get now, I don't know about you, it's either you get people like, you know, what do you do for a living? Oh, I do a podcast. Yeah. I got one too. Or it's, what's a podcast? Yeah. It's like either they know what it is because they do one themselves, or they have no idea.
I had one when I was down in Texas. The idea was to like, because I still wanted to stay like consistent with pushing out content.
Sure.
And the only like reasonable thing that made sense down there was like, oh, let's do a podcast while we're down here, while we're like getting our shit together. At least we'll still be like pushing shit out. People are like still watching us, no matter what it is. So we came up with this idea, but we couldn't come up with a name. We were on like a creative call for hours trying to think of a name, and finally we couldn't agree on one. So we put a bunch of names in a hat and picked one, and it came out to be Moist Cheeks, which is the most ridiculous name, but it kind of fits. You know?
Love it.
Yeah. Love it. And it was more like the idea of it was like our world, you know, like the stunt Jackass kind of world, plus skateboarding and just like rad people that do rad shit. So I had Rachel Wolfson on, the comedian. She's in Jackass. I had Street Bike Tommy on. I had Scott Randolph, Steve-O's manager, and but we only made it to 8 episodes before shit hit the fan.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, dude. Like, I was watching some of the stuff. What the hell happened?
Yeah, dude. I was so stoked on it. I spent so much fucking money getting that shit started. Like all this equipment, you guys know how it is, you know, and like everything was out of my pocket. So I was like kind of hurt on it, and like, but things happen for a reason now, and I'm a firm believer of that.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like I'm kind of glad it worked out the way that it did.
Yeah.
Well, I think those of us that, and really everybody in life, but I know with us with recovery, you just kind of like, all right, my higher power, like,
yeah, dude,
there's something here, you know. It's kind of
and it's that whole higher power thing. I had a hard time with that in the beginning, and it was because I grew up super religious, like my catechism, baptism, you know, all that shit, going to church every Sunday. And then as I got older, it kind of like this, everything that I was being taught just seemed bullshit to me. So I was just like, I need proof, like, you know, like, so and then when I got in active addiction, I definitely didn't believe in shit,
right?
You know, and once I got sober, it was still a little hard to accept it, or to even have any sort of higher power, or to put God in the picture or whatever. And then like things just started happening in my life that I just couldn't explain.
Sure.
No explanation whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, maybe it has to be, you know. And then like I actually start to pray a little bit, and then like more things start happening that I can't explain. And then when I went to Texas, I was still in the program. Like I found meetings. I was working in this rehab down there, but I was like judging, And when I start to judge, I know that like, okay, this my head's in a wrong. I need to like get back into work, you know. And I started comparing like the program down there to the program out here. Down there, it's very old school. In the middle of nowhere, you know, cowboys, boots, all that shit, like serious AA. Like if you're a drug addict, you don't belong in the AA rooms, you know, that kind of shit. Yeah. And then I started to fade away a little bit. I was like, okay, I stopped going to meetings. I was still working at the rehab, but that doesn't really count, you know. Right. And I started to fade away. And then like 4th of July, I was down there, and I'm like in the middle of nowhere, looking at all my boys out here partying, having fun, filming, and I'm like in the middle of Texas on my couch in my underwear, like looking at this shit, and I'm like, dude, like, and then the thought of like, I could drink, you know, like nobody would know, nobody would know, you know, and then when I start to have those feelings, they're feelings, they go away eventually, you know, so and then like the longer time you get, the quicker the feelings go away. But that was a rough one, dude, because like when I started to fade away, those feelings started to come back a little more and more. But thank God I didn't act on those feelings.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. We've had a heck of a workload and life stresses, and I come home, my girlfriend's there, and I made a joke. It's like I picked the wrong life to be an alcoholic because a rum and coke would go really good, and then you know she chuckled with me, but we talked through it pretty quick, and like you said, it faded away real quick because I did. You know, it's always that Robert Downey Jr. quote like, sure, I'd love to party or have a drink, but I got plans for Christmas. You know, yeah, I got plans. You know, I got shit that's got to be done. So it's that quick correction.
Yeah.
What about now coming out here? Do you finding a meeting again?
Yeah, I'm back in my home group. When I came out here to get sober originally, we like being in a sober living. It's mandatory to hit meetings, mandatory to find a home group, commitments, the whole thing. You know, and so there was this meeting in West LA that I used to go to at first, and it's called the Marina Center. Great meeting, a lot of younger guys, and they play music sometimes. It's like it's pretty fun, you know, and the fellowship there is amazing. And so when I came back, I started going back to that, and then I started fading away a little bit again. You know, it's like not because I don't want to. I think it's just because I have so much going. It's not an excuse, you know. It's like I have so much going on, and I'm just like, oh, I'll go tomorrow, and then tomorrow never happens, and I'm like, I'll go the next day, and that never happens, and then next thing I know, it's like 3 weeks have gone, and I haven't hit a meeting, or I haven't called my sponsor, or anything, you know. And then again, my birthday was a few weeks ago, and I woke up that morning, and my back was tweaked, and I couldn't move, like I was in serious pain, and then just the thought of like, okay, what can I do to get rid of this pain? It's my birthday, you know. Like my girlfriend got me a helicopter ride for my birthday. And
I saw that. That's dope.
And I just want to be able to enjoy the day. And then my girlfriend is a normie, and she had a tramadol left over from a car accident that she got into like a long time ago. And I was just like, let me get a tramadol. And then right away, I'm like, okay, I need to call somebody. I called my sponsor, call all these people, and they're all telling me the same thing, like, no, don't do it. You've had pain before. Like, look at the shit that you do.
Self-inflicted.
You know. So it's like you could manage it. Stop being a bitch. And I'm just like, well, no, it's not that. It's like it's my birthday, and I want to be able to enjoy my day. And everybody's just like, dude, shut the fuck up. You know, like you're just trying to justify it. You know. And I'm just like, oh shit, you're right. But I kept calling more people just to try to find somebody that would co-sign my bullshit. You know? I'm just like, oh. And nobody would co-sign my shit. Nobody did. And thank God I have those kind of people in my life, you know. And then like my girlfriend's a normie, like I said. She's a huge pothead, smokes lots of weed, and like a couple of my friends are huge potheads. And then like the past few weeks, I'm just like, dude, I'm like holding resentments that like I don't get to have fun like these people, you know. It's like these feelings they just started to happen like these last couple months. Just like the first few years of my sobriety, it was easy, man. It was like, you know what I think it was? It's like this life that I have now pretty much just fell on my lap,
right?
You know, and I was like, holy shit, this happened because I got sober. This is amazing. And now that I've been in this life for a few years now, it's like a norm, and I'm just like, why can't I have a cold beer?
Yeah.
You know, why can't I just take a hit of the joint? You know, it's like I started to get like resentful that I'm not the normal one.
Right.
And it sucks, you know, and like again, but they're just feelings. They go away eventually, you know. And, but
did you ever kind of shift your thinking that like, because normal's so freaking subjective.
It's just a setting on a dryer.
Yeah.
Isn't that what your mom says?
Like my mom always says,
like
normal's just a setting on a dryer.
That it's like, hey,
like some people's normal is this kombucha. I don't get it. It is.
Yeah.
I'm just drinking it because I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
But like for like us, like I'm not doing meetings as much as I used to, but like last night I was on the phone with my sponsor, and it wasn't even necessarily like checking in about those feelings or the joke that I made with my girlfriend or whatever it was. It's just like even just to check into bullshit, and it like helps correct. Like, I don't know. This is my normal.
Totally.
This is
totally. And what I always remind myself is like what I do now, I've dreamt about doing since I was 10 years old.
Right.
The people who I have in my life now, people who I've idolized my whole life. So I always just, I try to get back, and I say like, look, dude, you got here because you're sober. If I didn't get sober, none of this would have happened.
Sure.
And this means more to me than any drug or beer or anything, and then plus like, it's funny how God or my higher power works, dude. It's like, whenever I'm in a funk, I'll get hit up to speak at a meeting. It's weird, man. Or whenever I'm in a funk, I'll get a DM from a fan, and like just 2 days ago, somebody hit me up. He's like, dude, I envy you. I used to get high with this kid back in Connecticut, and I haven't talked to him in years. And he just DM'd me out of the blue. He's like, hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but my name's Richie, and you sold me really bad Molly at the time, and I was just like, oh shit, he's coming back he's looking for money. Like I was like, oh shit. And he's like, nah dude, I'm not trying to collect, I'm just like, I just want to say like I envy you of what you're doing, and like you were able to get sober, and not just like, you're not just surviving anymore, you're living and thriving. And he's like, how do you do it? Like, because he's struggling.
Sure.
So it's like stuff like that really like takes me back, like buckles me down, and it like gives me a little reminder of like, okay, like
where you are now may not be where you came from. The choices you make today may spiral out of control or spin you in the right direction. Discover a riveting, true story of how Carlos Vieira nearly destroyed his life and lived to tell about it. Stand up, stand firm, believe, make it happen, and live through the madness. Knocking doors down along the way. And don't miss others telling their powerful stories on our podcast. Visit kddmediacompany.com.
like my story has the opportunity to reach a lot of people, so that's why I make it so public.
Yeah, for sure.
And it has. You know? I mean, shit, jumping in with us for the second time. You know, it's cool to now do it in person. The technology doesn't do it justice. But, you know, sometimes I think people, oh, man, you interviewed this person and that person. How cool. It's like, you know, I don't know about Mikey, but I'm like, yeah, but did you listen to what we spoke to them about? Yeah. And what really a good takeaway is from this? And, you know, it's like, none of this was easy for anyone, you know, and lots of us just kind of fall into stuff. I mean, we're one and the same, you know. Carlos presented the opportunity, and, you know, it's like, hell yeah, let's run with it. It's not easy.
It's not easy. And I used to tell, when I worked in treatment, I used to tell a lot of my clients, like, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Exactly.
You know, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever fucking do. Mm-hmm. And I feel like people like us who have gone through so much, whether it's childhood trauma or depression or homelessness or all that, we've gone through it, and then we've made it to the other side. Mm-hmm. We look at life a little differently than the normal person.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean? Yeah.
I mean, do you find, if you want to talk, like, so being in a relationship now, like how are you doing that? Just, that's a tough thing for addicts, that people, you know, because we're an emotional ball of all these different things and feelings. Like, are you finding good trust in yourself within it and everything else? And then on top of that, like, how does it with someone that, you know, quote unquote normie, for people who don't know, someone that will drink or, like you said, smoke pot or whatever it is, but, you know.
Totally. So growing up, I never really had that family environment. I always wanted it, right? And I grew up always wanting the wife and kids and the house and the white picket fence, you know, and always wanted it. But when you're deep in your addiction, you start to not give a fuck, and you become very selfish and you don't care about anything, you know.
You'll shoot gutter water in a porta potty.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like
that pops up every time I hear Skinny Vinny. I'm not kidding. It's the porta potty water. I'm just like, oh man.
That's rough.
And it's like, so wanting a relationship is something that I've always wanted. And before getting sober, I've only been in a few relationships, and the longest one was about 1.5 years, and she was also sick. So it was like, it was very toxic, you know, and who knew if that was like real feelings or not, you know? There was a lot of heroin involved. So it's like, who knew what that was? Right. And then when I got sober, I started dating like a bunch of chicks here and there, nothing really serious. And then like I met one girl and like she broke my heart. I thought I was in love, but now knowing that I wasn't. And then the only girl that really fucked me up was this chick down in Texas. And she was really young. She was 20 and like she just didn't know what she wanted. And then like again, it looked good on paper. And but she really fucked me up. But I still really wanted that relationship, so I'm always searching for it. And then somehow I met this amazing girl. And she's so smart. She's from Tunisia, North Africa. She's only been in the States for 6 years. And she's older than me. She's like 38, and she has her shit together, and she's so smart. She speaks 7 different languages, like fluently. And so I'm like, why is this girl even attracted to me? She's so smart. You know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. And then like my PTSD from past relationships starts like coming in the picture. I'm like, all right, this is too good to be true. Something's going to up, you know, so I'm like waiting for that to happen,
or just like searching for like a flaw, and you're like, that's why you're single.
Exactly.
She's got a bunion. That's it. I'm
exactly. And then like, but she has 2 kids too, right? So it's like, okay, I'm coming into a relationship where she has 2 kids, 7 and 9, and am I like? I asked my sponsor, I asked all my other peers in recovery. I'm like, do you think this is a good idea? Like, doing what I do, I travel a lot, you know, do you think it's a good idea to be with somebody that has kids? And somebody said something that made a lot of sense to me. They're like, well, mothers put their children before anything, right? So that means you would have to put them before anything. If you really like this girl, you have to put them before anything, you know, which made a lot of sense to me. So then I like really started to think about it. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe this is what I've been wanting, you know, that little family environment thing, you know. And so I took a shot at it, and it's been going really well. And
that's cool.
There hasn't really been any trust issues as far as like anything bad like that. She smokes a lot of weed, smokes a lot of hash, but that really...
Does that bother you? Like, because you were mentioning earlier resentment towards not being able to take a hit, like...
So...
We're all honest here, bro.
Yeah, so 90% of the time it doesn't bother me.
Okay. What about the 10%? In what situations does it?
So 10%, it's like when I was hurt for a week.
Okay.
And I wanted to sleep good.
Sure.
And she's like, dude, she literally smokes joint after joint after joint. Like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I thought I was a pothead. You know, and I'm just like looking at her, and she's so relaxed, and I'm just like, I'm in pain, can't move, and like I can't sleep, and I'm like getting pissed that I can't do that, you know, and she's not very educated as far as like recovery and sobriety and stuff like that. So I'm trying to explain to her, like, I can't do this because there's a possibility that it might lead to other things. It might not, who knows, you know, but I don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to, like, because she's just like, just take a hit, you'll be fine, you'll sleep good. And I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah.
She doesn't know about the program. She doesn't know about all that kind of thing, you know. She's I don't want to say ignorant, just not educated.
Sure. Well, ignorant's a good word.
Yeah.
People think that it's such a harsh thing to say, and it's not. It's like, you know.
We made it that way.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if I don't know shit from Shinola about certain things. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, but we've been together for a few months now, and it's going really well. It was like I was saying, I've always wanted this, and now that I finally have it, I was like, oh shit, maybe this is kind of scary, but scary in a good way.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like fear because sometimes fear pushes me more to do something.
It's a necessary emotion.
Totally.
And I think people shy away from that reality too often.
Yeah, I think a lot of growth comes from pushing through fear.
Yeah.
And that comes down to everything in my life, as far as like either making content or doing a stunt or public speaking or anything that I'm like very uncomfortable doing, pushing through that fear. Like so much growth comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What is her perspective on what you do for a living? She's like, that's cool as shit, or whatever, pal.
So, we the way that we met was Facebook dating.
Yeah.
Really weird.
Wait,
Facebook dating.
That's like a...
That's kind of dating app.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Yeah, if you have a Facebook account, you can create like a dating thing.
No
Yeah.
shit. Everything's a dating app
Yeah,
now, bro.
it's the new age, man.
Well, I don't have Facebook, so I didn't know about that.
Yeah. And so that's how we met. And usually I'm the one to DM, because when I'm on these dating things like Tinder or Bumble, I'm on there for one purpose. Those kind of things, I'm just looking to have fun.
Yeah.
That's it. And usually I'm the one to DM, and I DM exactly what I want right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have time to bullshit around and fucking small talk. Like, I want one thing and that's it. She DMs me first, and she's just said some corny shit. She was just like, those eyes are the eyes that I'd want to wake up to every morning. And I was just like, oh shit, okay. You know, like, I was like, okay, dope. And then we started talking a little bit, and then me and Zach had to go film something. I was like, yeah, I'll call you tomorrow. We got to go film. And she's like, film? What do you mean film? I was like, oh, me and my buddies, like, we make stupid content. And then she Googles me. And I didn't hear from her for probably a month and a half. She totally ghosted me. And then I'm like texting her. I'm like, what's up? And like, I found out she had COVID, so I'm just like making sure that she's okay, but I'm like, no response. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm not chasing this chick. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just gonna go somewhere else. And then finally she calls me back after like a month and a half, and she's like, hey, sorry I ghosted you. I found out who you and your friends were, and like, I just figured that you guys have all these girls around you all the time. And I'm just like, I'm surrounded by homoerotic guys 99% of my day. Like,
did you see my buddy drink something out of my other buddy's ass crack?
Exactly. And then like, and she like laughed at that, and then I was like, all right, we started talking for a while, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna ask this chick out, but I want to do it in a way that where like she can't say no. So I Googled how to say something in French, because she speaks fluent French. So I said that to her in French, and she was just like mind blown. And then we went on a first date, and then like...
Was she pissed you couldn't speak French in person?
No. Dude, it's crazy. She speaks French, Arabic, German, Italian, Tunisian, English, but she understands 20 other languages.
Wow.
It's bananas.
Yeah, but speaks fluent in 7 of them. It's insane.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And then that Liquid Death video that I made with Zach, me drinking water out of his asshole. It's just like, she sees something like that, and she's just like she wasn't there when I was filming it, thank God, but like when she like I think I was next to her when she finally saw it, and I like look over to her, and she's just shaking her head, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Did she still kiss you after that?
Yeah. Liquid Death, if you'd like to come back on as a sponsor.
It's because I showed her this new. We're starting to do more skits, like less stunty stuff, more skits with a little bit more acting. And we did something a couple weeks ago, and it was finally done yesterday. And I'm like showing it to her, and she's not laughing or anything. And I'm just like, is it not funny? Like, I think it's hilarious. Am I just dumb? Like, and I'm just like, babe, did you like it? She goes, no, it's really funny. But then I look up, and you're right next to me. I got puked on by Zach in the skit. So she's like, yeah, no, it was funny. But then I look up, and you're sitting right next to me. So I'm like, okay, you are my boyfriend now, and you're getting puked on by Zach, which is disgusting. So like, she looks at it in a different way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, even if she didn't think you're funny, that's fine, because Will Ferrell's wife doesn't think he's funny.
That's right.
So it's just kind of like, if your significant other doesn't think you're funny, maybe you're on the right track.
Yeah.
He's a funny motherfucker.
So I'm such an attention seeker that like, I need you to tell me that I'm funny, or I need you to tell me that my content is good.
Right.
You know, I'm up like that, dude.
It's that weird validation.
Yeah.
I know what you mean though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the most like insecure. It's great to have Mikey like, no man, it's a good episode.
Yeah.
Did a good job. Are you sure, buddy?
Yeah.
You know,
I used to, before I started making my own content, I was like Zach's filmer, the Too Stupid to Die filmer. And then like when I started making my own content, I made it I wanted just the bros to like it. I didn't care about anybody else. I just wanted the validation from the bros, right? So I would DM a video to Kyler or Chadwick, and I'd be like, yo, was it good? And like, once they told me it was good, I'd be like, all right, sick. Maybe I'm onto something here, you know? And then I started making my own content. And I'm such a narcissist that I'll watch my own content over and over and over again, whether it's to like learn from it. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, or camera angles or anything like that. But literally, I think it's just because I like watching my own stuff.
He and I are so different because he like I listen back to every episode or watch it. He's like, yeah, no, I don't like that.
I hate hearing myself.
Me too.
When I first did this
I hate my voice.
podcast ever, I apologize to like everybody who's ever met me. I'm like, I'm sorry you had to hear me talk. I didn't know I sounded like this.
Yeah.
Like, goodness.
Well, and we hear ourselves differently, you know. It's like it's not how people hear us, and everyone hears differently, you know.
I had this music phase back in like my late teens where I wanted to make music. I wanted to be a rapper, and so I like started making music. And then when I heard the sound of my voice on a song, I was just like, I'm never doing this again.
Hey, you know what? At least you noticed that, because there's a lot of people who I know that, you know, are trying to become rapper, and you know, good for them. But I'll never forget what T.I. said. T.I. was like, you know, a lot of people say chase your dreams, you know, strive for greatness, all that, never quit. Some people just need to know when to stop. And when he said that, I was like, that's so true. And I can think of a couple people in my head that need to take that advice. But, you know, more power to them, man. That's your goal, then go for it.
I think everybody my age at that time wanted to be a rapper.
Of course.
I think even still, like, it's like...
Dude, when 8 Mile came out, we all thought we were rappers. You know what I'm saying? We're all freestyling against each other. We're just like, well, you're stupid and your mom sucks. You know, like, how do I rhyme that?
Like, the last time I went back to Connecticut, one of the bros who I was making music with, he like whips out the only CD that we had, and like I'm listening to it, and I'm like 16, 17 at the time, and like we're saying words that should not be said, and I'm just like, oh my god, I need this. Like, this can't be put out anywhere. So I'm like, dude, give this to me. He goes, no, I'm not giving it to you. I was like, I'll give you $100 for it right now. He's like, all right, fine. So I have it in my car right now, and nobody will ever have access to it.
That must be destroyed, right?
Yeah.
But we did. I mean, I remember like when I first like started learning guitar and stuff, and like my best friend, who Mikey met this last week, and I'm like playing, and he's like, like, I'm not really good at music, and hey, power to you for a hobby. He's like, no, I think I want to start a band. He's like, you might want to just stick with being a DJ. And you know, 20 years later, I'm still probably on the same chords and the same songs that I have to figure out. It's like, thanks for the career advice there, pal. You're right. Tone deaf, can't pick up nothing.
I've tried so many times to pick up an instrument, and I just can't do it. I like guitar in my mind, like guitar, it's like a panty dropper. You know, you play some, you know, or piano.
Oh my gosh, piano.
Yeah, yes. I could play like a little bit of piano, but other than that...
Dude, if you get on a piano and just like play this beautiful music, women...
Dude, the panties are flying at you, dude, I swear. And so so I've always tried that, and I just can't do it, dude.
I tell my nephews, they're one of them's in piano, the other one is in... Actually, not anymore, but I told them, I said, look, and it's not because of the panty dropping, it's just because... Playing a piano is badass.
Totally,
but
absolutely.
As a kid, you want to do drums and guitar and all that. But I said my biggest regret is not, you know, pursuing the piano, because my parents put me in it. I'll never forget. It was every Tuesday at 4:30. I'll never forget it. And I hated it. I dreaded it. But now looking back, I'm just like, oh, I wish I would have done it. And I told him, I said, dude, trust me, it will benefit you so much in the future with women, not even with women, but just everything else, like whatever you're into. Play piano. And he's just like, no, go f*** yourself. And I'm just like, he didn't say those words, obviously, because I'd smack him, but that's what he said with his eyes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's played piano.
Whenever I like find a room that has a piano and there's like a bunch of people there, I'll go right up to the piano, and I know one thing, but it's like a Mozart thing. It's like the first like 15 seconds of a Mozart song, and I'll go up and I'll play that for 15 seconds, and I'll just be like, all right, that's it, and I'll get like a round of applause. And I'm just like, dude, you guys have no idea. I cannot play piano.
I'm like, if you get on and just start the beginning of like Tiny Dancer or just Bohemian Rhapsody or something, like people will just love it.
Yeah,
just do it. But don't say I didn't warn you.
One girl like walked up to me one time. She's like, "That was beautiful." I was just like, "I know, I know."
Just like, "What's up?" Yeah. Play you another little ditty. Lay on top.
And your name is?
Yeah.
But it's kind of the cool thing about, like, you know, you kind of stepping into, whether we want or not, you know, as a single father, as, you know, someone comes in my life, or how you're in your girlfriend's life, like role models and things and lessons. And, you know, like the kid's mom and I push art on them, like whatever it is. They're in music lessons, and my daughter draws and paints and sculpts, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like... it's an important like part of expression and development, you know.
Absolutely.
It's like I think it's like kind of a shitty thing to do, like to your kids. They start something, be it acting, and we're gonna get you on screen. It's like, look, if they just dig it, they dig it. Let them dig it and kind of figure shit out. I mean, I'm 43 and I'm still figuring out what I love to do, you know. The like journey hasn't ended yet, you know.
Totally. Yeah, that baffles me when like parents try to push something on their child. Like my mom was so supportive back in the day. Like I've had so many different dreams that like I wanted to be a professional baseball player, or I wanted to be a professional skateboarder, and like being those things that like with somebody my size, it doesn't seem too realistic, you know. But like my mom always was like, because I was way bigger back in the day, and my mom didn't say, she was like, yeah, go do it, like do what you want to do. If you love it, just keep doing it, you know. And she would like support me with whatever I wanted to do.
That's good.
Yeah, like if I needed a new skateboard, she'd get me a new skateboard, or like if I wanted to play baseball, she would sign me up for the league in the town, you know. And she never put me down as far as like what ideas that I had in my head, because I've had some wild ideas, but she's up for them.
You don't say.
Yeah. It's funny because like what we do now, I used to do as a kid. Like when Zackass came out in early like 2000, like that was another dream. Was like I just want to travel the country and do stupid shit with my bros. Like, and my mom was just like, that's never gonna happen. That was one of the things where she was just like, you're not gonna make money doing that. And I'm just like, yeah, I will. And then like obviously the dream and passion goes away, and like next thing you know, I'm homeless and shooting dope, and then all of a sudden this happens. Then the first time I went back home after a year of doing this, I was like, Mom, remember that? And she goes, yeah, I remember that. And
well, and thanks to the internet, I mean, anything, you could be famous. Like, quit playing those damn video games. It's not going to get you anywhere in life. It's like,
I know.
If you stream video games and people like you, you'll get millions of views on YouTube. And what's that guy's name? Ninja?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude's a millionaire. All he does is play video games.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Insane.
Good on him. I'm not hating on him. That's incredible. You took your passion, which is video games, and you started to get paid for it. Yeah. That's the American dream.
Yeah.
Do what you do and make money.
I was talking with this dude. So I started racing Formula One online.
Oh, sick.
Like, all right, I'll try this, you know, just whatever. And I'm talking to this dude, and it was like the room was open. I'm like, hey, you know, and why do I recognize your name? Oh, I compete in the Formula E sports league. I'm like, I'm out. So I just sat and watched, and it's like the times this dude was like 17 seconds faster than me. It's like, I'm gonna go ahead and bow out on this shit, you know? So it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And there really is, like, people just, I think that limiting of the mind, which, you know, you and I did with our addiction, and, you know, that being our focus.
Yeah.
You know, each and every day, you know, when am I going to get drunk? When am I going to get high? Whatever it is. It's like there's so much you could freaking do in this world. There's opportunity everywhere.
Everywhere. And it's even more now than even in the early 2000s, you know, with this whole social media shit.
Yeah.
And I was just talking with somebody about this the other day. If I put in the amount of energy or the amount of effort that I put in getting high and like looking for my next score into anything else in life, I would be killing it. So that's like that's how I look at it now. It's like I have to put the same amount, if not more energy than I was then finding my next score into my life.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's when it really started to hit me. It was like, okay, I need to put 100% love and passion in absolutely everything I do.
Yep.
And another thing is like I hate coming up with ideas and not doing it. I have to not capitalize. I have to like really try and go for it, whether if it works or not. Like most of the time it's going to fail, but you're not going to know unless you fucking try.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing. It's like, if you think of something and you're going to have fun doing it, just do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have so many things in the works for this next year that like I can't wait for. Some things I can't talk about, but it's like and one of the things it's like might be the most epic, insane, dangerous thing that I'll ever do in my life. But I came up with the idea, and I'm just like, I have the means to do this. Like I have connections and the means to do this. Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm just like, I'm going for it. And that's what I'm trying to like show people in recovery, and like, or people that I mentor in the rooms, you know, it's like, life doesn't have to be boring when you get sober. Yeah. That's my whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what scared me to get sober, was like, I don't want to be miserable.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be miserable and sober, why not just be miserable and high?
Yeah.
It just made more sense to me.
And it takes time. Like, we got to let people know it takes time. Like, you got to go through some healing and deal with whatever, if the underlying shit is. I mean, some people just end up being addicts because they just like getting fucked up and there wasn't any trauma or issues. But people like you, me, there, and more commonly there is. And it's like, you get to start to deal with it, and through that, like, self-esteem comes and self-worth, and it's like, I got a place in the world and I can contribute, I can be of service. And it's like these things we completely take for granted. It's like, okay, you're a waste of my time, you can't get me drunk or laid, goodbye. Or stroke my ego. And so
that was like, it was like maybe a year in, like my first year of sobriety is when the confidence and self-love started to come back in my life. It wasn't until maybe the second year where I was like, holy shit, like, I know my self-worth. I could look in the mirror and say I love you and like totally mean it. And that's when magic started to happen. It's like when you are able to do right on yourself, then it's time to do right on other people. And that's when everything, like, things were going great the first year or two in my sobriety. Things were amazing. But when I was able to look in the mirror and say I love you and completely mean it and be proud of the person who I am today, like, so many more doors started to open as far as like relationships goes, friendships, job opportunities, just spiritually, financially, everything was just, it's another thing that I just can't explain how things were happening.
What does it mean to you to kind of, in essence, fulfill that promise to the 10-year-old kid to have gone to, like us, like, it was like tripping out, like, oh, we're at Castle Bam, or, with Steve-O, you had some great content with him. And, it's like you fulfilled that promise that you made 20 something years ago.
It's still so, it's still very hard to wrap my head around everything. I'm still just like going at it day by day, and like, it still doesn't seem real. It still feels like a fucking dream. And I'm so honest when I say that. I remember when I was a kid, I would have literal dreams of like hanging out with Bam and skating with him when I was 10, 11, 12, and like now being able to go to the castle whenever I want. It's like one of those things that I can't even wrap my head around, that just because I let go of the wheel and started taking direction from people who knew what they were talking about as far as sobriety and happiness and self-love, that's when this shit just fell on my lap. It just fell on my lap, dude. I didn't come here to LA looking for this.
Sure. Yeah.
I just went into a sober living, met Zach, and then things started happening. It's mind-blowing to me.
5150 is power. The power to overcome. The power to persevere. The power to set your life on a course for success. When you're faced with the challenges life throws at you, you focus and do what is needed to go beyond what is required. So stand up, stand firm, believe, make it happen, and live through the madness, knocking doors down along the way. We are 5150.
And how did you meet Zach?
So I met Zach I was still homeless in California. I was just jumping from treatment center to treatment center, sober living to sober living.
Where in California were you?
West LA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and nothing seemed to work. I didn't want it. I still wanted to get high. Sure. But I was still manipulating the system as far as like the 3 hots in a cot situation, and like still taking advantage of my mom paying for my health insurance. So I would use that to go into treatment, eat a little bit, sleep in a bed for a little bit. And so I was just jumping from house to house, and maybe I would stay in a house for a week or two, leave for a month, do the same thing over and over again. And the last house that I got kicked out of, what I used to do, and this is really fucked up, was my thing would be I would try to take people out with me, and because misery loves company, so it's like I would convince dudes to leave with me, and I'd be like, yo, let's just this place, let's just go get high. And 99% of the time it works. It's fucked up, and I hate myself for doing that. It's like I've made my amends. It's like it's a really shitty thing to do. And so it was me and a couple dudes. We were waiting outside for our Uber, and the management comes outside figures out what we were trying to do, and they convinced them to stay. And then she was like, well, Vinny, well, what are you doing? And I was like, well, if they're going to stay, I'll stay. And she goes, no, fuck you, you're out. And well, okay, yeah, that's fine. I have my own money. I'll go get high by myself. Like, I actually like getting high by myself more. I don't have to share anything. And then this was, I consider, one of the first spiritual experiences I've ever had in my life. And this is before doing any step work, before anything. And I was in the front yard waiting for my Uber, and I had the most vivid whisper of my former best friend who passed away. And he passed away from an overdose back in 2016, I think it was. And it was him whispering in my fucking ear saying, dude, enough is enough. You're 30 years old. And that, it was like this feeling, like it was like my body froze. And I started crying. And then I was like, okay, so I called up the program director at the time. I was like, listen, dude, give me another shot. I just, please. But I still had this in the back of my head of, I'm not ready yet, though. I still want to get high. So, but let me just go here to a different spot. Maybe something will happen. So I get put into another spot, and that's where I met Zach, and he was in there, and I knew who he was. He had a big online presence at the time, and was a fan of his stuff. And I had a heartogram tattooed right here that I got covered, and he's like, oh, you have the heartogram tattoo? I was like, yeah. He goes, all right, me and you are gonna be friends. It's like, okay, sick, you know. And he needed a filmer at the time, and I grew up filming skateboarding,
right?
And I have a lot of knowledge with cameras and stuff, and so I told him that, and he's like, all right, we'll go film a video, see how you do. And then the very first video that we shot was, we went to Venice Boardwalk. We attached a boxing glove to a gas-powered remote control car, and Zach sat down spread eagle on the boardwalk, and we drove it like 30 miles per hour into his nuts. And this video blows up. I'm talking like 1 million views. All my idols are commenting, and like my name's attached to it, and I'm just like, holy shit, Tony Hawk is seeing this. Like, all these people who I've looked up to my whole life are seeing this, commenting, sharing, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now, you know? And then like Zach saw that I know what I'm doing as far as camera work goes, and he's like, all right, dude, you're in. It's like, okay, sick, you know, not knowing exactly what that meant, you know, like, I knew he had the show coming out, the Too Stupid to Die show, and I was like, okay, maybe this could actually like do something, you know, maybe this could go somewhere. If it doesn't, at least I'm meeting cool people and traveling, right? You know, whatever. And then it was just like one thing after another. It was like a snowball effect of cool shit while living in a sober living. Me and him, like, we traveled the country over and over and over again while living in a sober living. You know, it's like we would be at a sober living one day, and the next day we got invited to Zed's house with Dylan Francis, and I'm just like, what's going on? And then the next thing, we're at the sober living, and then we get asked to do live stunts at a Wu-Tang show in Chicago. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm sleeping in a sober living, and I'm going to go on stage in front of 10,000 people with Wu-Tang.
That's bananas.
It didn't make sense to me, but I was just rolling with it, you know? Yeah. And I think at that time, the Wu-Tang thing was like 6 months in. I think I still had a little reservation of getting high.
Really?
Sure.
Yeah. Like, tiny reservation, because, you know, I love getting high more than anything, you know, and like I probably love getting high more than what I'm doing now, you know? Yeah. And so I still had a little reservation, but then it was just like, it just didn't stop. And then when it really hit me is when we linked up with Bam, and we went to the castle and filmed a video with him at the Rocky Steps. And that is when I think I really made the full decision. I was like, okay, I'm 100% in. I'm not going back, because Bam was a god to me.
Sure.
Back in the day when I was,
as he was to a lot of kids, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so being at his house and filming a video with him, and him knowing who I am, it blew my mind. So I was just like, okay, I got here because I'm sober. I don't want to lose this, you know? And then it was just, like I said, it was just a snowball effect. Yeah. It just kept going, and it's still going. Yeah. You know, it hasn't stopped. The snowball has just gotten bigger, bigger, bigger. And I'm like, till the wheels fall off. I'm not, you know?
Yeah. What upcoming shit can you tell us about?
So we have a prank show in the works. We start filming in a couple of days, actually. And
will you prank Mikey, please?
And I would know it's coming now.
Yeah.
Right.
And I fucking wish I could tell you some ideas that I have for Zach. I'll tell you off air.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal.
And but yeah, so it's just a prank show. It's we don't even have a name for it yet. Which is great. They're giving us 100% creative control.
Nice.
Even to who we want working cameras, which is amazing.
And can you say who they are, or we got to keep that?
No, we don't
under
even.
wraps, too?
I don't even think we have camera guys yet. I
meant like when you say they, like they are letting
no,
you.
I can. Yeah, no, I can't say that yet. I asked Zach last night. I was like, "Can I talk about this yet?" He goes, "You could say we're doing it, but not with who yet."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, whatever." And
Cool.
but it's pretty much just me and Zach with a couple guests here and there on the show, and it's like think of like an Adult Swim style show, very ADD, fast pace, a little bit of graphics here and there, prank show.
Right on.
So that's what we're shooting for, and
I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and very, very quick, you know, and yeah, so we start shooting for that in a few days, and I'm producing podcasts. I've been working with this. Her name's Dr. Melina.
Yeah.
She, like I said, she's a nutritionist for celebrities. So we had Brandy Chastain. She was a U.S. soccer player.
Brandy Chastain. Yeah.
Chastain, yeah. So we had her on recently. We had Jen Cohen on. She's like a fitness guru.
Yeah.
And me and Tom, we're still going to be doing the sober living thing. We just took a step back these last few months just because we both have so much going on. But we're going to start that, start it. We're shooting by March.
That's dope.
And
man.
yeah, and we're naming it after John. You know, we're gonna his name is John Randall, so we're calling it Randall's House. You know,
love it.
and
Nice.
it's if he was here with us, dude, he would be along for the ride. You know, I do a lot of the things for him.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, that's badass, man. Well, yeah, and it's scary, you know, if you ever think about that stuff, like everything we're seeing it and organizations that we kind of participate with and in our area, you know, especially with the fentanyl getting in everything and just, you know.
I lost, not yesterday, the day before, I lost somebody. You know, I got sober with her. We went to rehab together. We got sober together. She stayed sober. Went back home after a few years, and she passed away 2 days ago. Overdose.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's wild, dude. And then, when you work in treatment, you start to really, build these relationships with these people that come into your house, right? And some are a little bit tighter. That you start to get really fucking close, you know? And I've lost so many people in this last 2 years from this fucking disease. And it's I've almost, gotten desensitized, or I'm just another one. You know, it's it's wild, man. It's not getting any better.
Well, and like I tell everybody, it's I never had that worry when I was doing coke all the time. Fentanyl was the last thing on my mind. You know, the only thing we were worried about is not getting shot in whatever sketchy area we were going to pick it up, or a cop's not following us, or is that a narc over there? You know, that was our only worry. But fentanyl, I mean, shit, that's just
it's dude.
No
and
joke.
if there's enough toilet paper, right, in case of that live baby accident.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
I wasn't worried about that. I'll figure something out.
It's fentanyl. What came it started getting big right around the time that I got sober, where it was getting cut with shit. So I never really had to worry about that. I just had to worry about the amount of dope that I'm doing, you know. But I like touching the line of death. You know, that's how I like to party, you know. So it's it's always countless overdoses, you know. It's to this day, the first few years I always had survivor's guilt, I kind of want to say. You know,
I remember you saying that.
I was saying this the last time I was on about why John and not me. John was an innocent dude, never hurt a soul, and I'm this piece of shit where I hurt a lot of people. Why do I have 15 overdoses and I'm thriving, and he's gone after one?
How many do you have? 15?
Yeah.
Damn.
All brought back by Narcan?
Most of them brought back by Narcan.
I'm gonna go get certified.
I got certified working in treatment. 15 of them.
Wow.
Some of them are real bad, wake up and I have a tube down my throat. And it's like I said, survivor's guilt. But now this last year or so, I've really understood why. And it's to do things like this, to tell my story, to potentially help a lot of people, and Texas is a great example. When I was down there, the first time ever being on my own sober, I always had structure around me for these last few years. And so I moved down to Texas in the middle of nowhere. I stayed sober. I found work and treatment, and I spoke at a few meetings there, and like I'm still in contact with those people today. Like every once in a while they'll text me, be like, dude, like, thank you. Yeah. So it's like stuff like that where I make my shit public and like really tell my story so it could help people like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you for doing it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right, let's raise it up a little bit, get a little bit of laughter here before we wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, howdy. Random questions. Mikey, you want to fire off first?
Would you rather fight 1 horse-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized horses?
1 horse-sized chicken or 10 chicken-sized horses?
Yep.
Oh, man.
I know.
Where the do you come up with this thing?
Again, the internet. And I've gotten a lot of different answers. So,
really?
Yeah, you would think it would be 1, but I've gotten a lot of different ones.
We just spoke with Chuck Liddell. He said he'd fight them all.
Like, Henry Royce said the same thing. He goes, I want to fight all of them.
That's a good impression.
Yeah.
I would probably say 10 chicken-sized horses.
You would think, yeah, but we had another guest have a good way of looking at it. She goes, ants, tarantulas are killed by ants because there's just an army of them. But if you get on the ground and you have 10 chicken-sized horses, you're but if you have a horse-sized chicken peck you're
Yeah.
So you got to pick one.
That's a rough one.
And not to mention chickens, I've said this before too, but it is scary. Chickens can live without their heads.
That's true, huh?
So if you cut off the son of a bitch's head, he's still running around. I don't know, man. You would think you could punt the little bastards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Did Vinny give us an answer?
I would 10 chicken-sized horses,
okay. This is always a fun one. Stranded on an island, somehow you have a way to play music and a way to watch a movie. One movie, one music album that you would have with you on a stranded on an island.
Movie. What's a movie that I could watch? Fear and Loathing, maybe. I've seen that movie hundreds of times and it's never old.
Yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street's good too. I could watch that over and over and over.
That would kill a lot of time on the
Yeah.
Like
as far as music goes, man, lately, I don't know, dude. I've been like MCR, dude. I've been rocking to a lot of MCR lately. My Chemical Romance. I don't know what it is, dude. I've just been like jamming that shit hard.
We're just feeling an emo phase.
Yeah, dude. It's all good. Whenever I want to get in my feelings, I throw that on.
Right. I just want to feel my feelings.
Yeah.
If you could travel anywhere in time, in the past or in the present or in the future, no, you got to travel. Yeah. Where would you go?
I'd probably go in the past, probably to the 60s.
To the 60s?
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool in the 70s. But bring a skateboard, bring a 2020 skateboard, 2021, to the 70s.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Dude, that'd be gnarly. Everybody'd be like, who the fuck?
What
is it? What's the kickflip? What's that?
Right?
It's like,
in the
future, on those magazines. Then we'd be pro.
Someone's going to do a 900 revolution.
Yeah.
What? Wait, I swear. Wait.
He's a fucking demon.
Yeah. We can't fuck it up too bad because we might fuck up Tony Hawk's presence.
Yeah.
Because you got to be careful in the past. Like if you step on a bee, Ashton Kutcher was never born or something. You know what I mean? So it's just like
you got Doc Brown.
Vinny, you're gonna mess up the timeline.
Yeah.
You can't up Tony Hawk.
Can't, dude. I look up to that dude so much, and he still hasn't followed me yet. And I know he knows who I am, and he follows all the other bros except for me, and it makes me so fucking mad.
He follows me.
No, yeah, he doesn't follow me, dude.
Hey, dude, we're in the same boat. It's
Tony,
like,
follow us,
come
bro.
on, come on,
if
Mr.
you're
Hawk.
watching, and we know you are,
and we know you are.
Follow us, Tony.
Yeah.
Come talk with us.
Yeah.
No, because that's a lot of people too. It's like, God, that person would just be dope if they understood what we do and why we do it, they would want to talk to us.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, they're busy living life and doing shit.
That I always joke around. I'm like, when the day when Tony Hawk follows me is the day that I've made it. And I'm sticking to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're working on all this stuff. Is what one person that you haven't worked with yet that you would like to?
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk.
Sure,
yeah. Tony Hawk. That's pretty much it. Really,
Yeah.
Tony Hawk's on the top for me.
Yeah.
And I know it's coming.
Yeah.
I know it. Like, I have a feeling it's coming. Whether it's like working directly with him or working on a project with him, I know it.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah.
Oh, we're celebrating that one for
Yeah.
you're gonna get a text message with 9 million of those.
I was like, I'm sponsored by this company it's like a skate company called Bad Grease, and Jason Ellis is on the team, and and the owner of Bad Grease is like, hey, we want you and Ellis to do some sort of like Bad Grease promo together, and Ellis has been skating with Tony at the Bird's Nest a lot recently, and he just started a new podcast with Tony. So I'm like starting to like think, how can I like make this happen? So I like came up with this idea of me on fire on the half pipe, and like Jason like comes and like hand plants my head while I'm on fire, like I'm like laying down, like my head's over the coping, and he like hand plants my head while I'm on fire. And I was like, but I want to do it at the Bird's Nest, and they won't pitch it. They won't pitch it to Jason because Jason doesn't want to ruin the friendship with him and Tony.
Well, Tony be like, dude, don't fucking light my ramp on fire.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, is it something like, would you ask him to follow you, or he has to organically follow you? Okay, so that's hey Tony, will you follow me? Sure, that's not a made
that doesn't
situation.
work. No,
Okay.
no.
we promise
way.
if you get him like to follow you, we won't be cherry picking sons of bitches. Hey, Vinny, like if you wanna.
Yeah.
Lots of people, man, out there, especially through all this COVID struggling. I've lost someone recently to this, as you said, up disease of addiction, and people falling off. If could lend some good, encouraging words for those watching. I mean, even mental health or just a loved one too.
Yeah,
struggling.
And I've always said this, and I will forever say this. It's just continue to do the next right thing. Continue being honest with yourself and everybody around you. And help somebody out every once in a while, and things will just fall into place.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like I said earlier, feelings pass. Some feelings last longer than others, but they'll pass. Yeah. And just like stay in touch with like people who love you. That's what I do. Yeah. Some people probably hate me calling so much, but it's like I love you, you love me. F it, I'm calling you. If I'm struggling, I'm calling you.
Yeah. Call me anytime.
Yeah.
I'll call you.
I'll take that offer up. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Skinny Vinny. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, man. Thanks,
awesome.
guys. This was fun.
Good to do it in person.
Yeah, this was great.